Happy New Year, everybody, and all the best for 2021. To kickstart the year, today I'm with the very inspiring Kane Nuttall. Now, Kane founded the Powering You Project, an addiction support service that takes the positives from largely negative experiences and uses them to empower participants to take control of their lives and become contributing members of the community. He set up this service after his own 12-year battle with substance abuse. And during that time, Kane lost a lot of people along the way through the lack of support and understanding about addiction, particularly ice addiction. Now, Kane believes everyone has the right to recovery and that the lack of money should not be a barrier. His vision in the Power in You project is the strongest dual diagnosis program in Victoria, with an open-ended drug and alcohol service being the new standard of care, with the understanding that different people will require different levels of care to assist in their recovery. Now, Kane is someone with an incredible story through his lived experience, and I'm really chuffed to be able to speak with Kane today. How are you going, Kane?
Hey, mate. Thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year, mate. And we've been trying to get this going for quite a while, so we've made it, which is awesome. Yeah, how was your Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, it was really good, mate. Obviously Christmas Day, the Power You Project runs the big Christmas breakfast,
Yeah,
and that's for people down here in Geelong that have no one to share it with. Which sort of started off the back of me running the program and seeing how many people sort of withdraw come Christmas time. It's not
yeah.
often a happy time for people. So, we put on a breakfast and, just create a little bit of Christmas cheer on Christmas morning. So we had roughly about 50 for breakfast, which was, an awesome turnout. And, it was a really, really good way to start Christmas. Christmas is about giving. And I think a lot of people forget that. So, being able to give, Christmas morning, it really sets up, my holidays on a high. And then for the rest of the holidays, I was just able to spend a lot of quality time with my family. I've got a 1-year-old who I've just turned 1-year-old. I've got another one a couple of weeks away. And then, my partner's little fella who I've, taken on the responsibility for. So, we had a really, really good time, spent some time away and, we wrote some goals. And now I'm ready to, jump into 2021.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting things happening. So, good times.
Yeah. I love that when you know a new year and you start to plan out and set your goals. But just going back to Christmas Day and Christmas, it's a very special time, isn't it, for a lot of people? But if you haven't got family or friends and you've had issues around addictions, it can be quite a challenging time. So that's really great to hear that you put that on every year, Ken. Maybe one year I'll pop down and spend it with you.
More than welcome, mate.
So we'll kick in. What does well-being mean to you?
For me, well-being, I would say comes back to my physical and mental health. Just making sure I've got, like a good balance in life, with work and family and, and everything else that's going on. Obviously work in a field that, you deal with a lot of crisis and a lot of people, who are really struggling. So for me, it's about, finding that balance outside of work and, making sure that, I'm able to give as much support to my family, as I am to, my people, during work hours, I suppose.
Yeah. So really trying to get that balance and what things do you do to kind of look after your well-being?
Well, last year was a bit of a struggle. Obviously through COVID, I also had a shoulder surgery. But generally, I've played football. I'm probably just retired, I would say. The shoulders and the body doesn't do what the mind wants it to do anymore. But I've started surfing, learning to surf. I listen to books and music, and then mindfulness and stuff as well. Just really trying to just keep present with my family and just present with what I'm doing.
Yeah. Good work. And obviously spoken to you a few times, Ken, but would you be up for sharing your journey and where this passion comes from for trying to help people turn around their lives?
Yeah. So, like we have spoke about in the past, I was a drug addict for the best part of 12 years. You know, I was heavily addicted to ice, marijuana. I was dabbling in, you know, pretty much everything. You know, and I really struggled just with my identity from an early age. You know, as a 14-year-old, I had a head full of pimples. I was on a drug called Roaccutane to help me, you know, to get rid of those pimples, which caused me severe, you know, depression. You know, and I was, you know, found myself looking for ways to be able to make myself feel good, and, you know, started smoking a bit of dope, and, you know, having that laughing, you know, that initial, when you first start, that initial laughter and that kind of thing, you know, I felt that was an escape for me, rather than being at home, you know, in tears, you know, wondering what's wrong with me, you know, going through those formative years. You know, it's tough, you know, for anyone, you know, but, you know, when you're, you know, you've got a head full of acne, you know, and, you know, people are pretty cruel, especially those teenage years, you know, you get called some horrible things. And, you know, I was looking for a way just to connect, you know, and, you know, unfortunately, I was connected through drugs, and, you know, there was an acceptance of, you know, people didn't care, you know, if you're getting high together, and, you know, it was sort of just, you know, accepted, you know, but then as I sort of, you know, grew on, you know, like I was always, you know, a boy's boy, a character, like, you know, loved a good time. And yeah, obviously led me to, you know, the more illicit drugs, and, you know, and then, which led me to, you know, eventually ice, which, you know, then, you know, started destroying my life. You know, at my worst, you know, I was, you know, using intravenously, you know, quite a bit. You know, I lost myself, I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. I was completely depressed. I was in a, you know, really dark space. You know, and I thought that that's all I had, just to give me that little bit of light. You know, whenever I used. But you know, over time, you know, I lost. You know, like you said earlier, so many close people to me. You know, I'd ruined friendships, relationships. You know, I was sort of just lucky that, you know, my mum and my dad, you know, had a little bit of faith in me. You know, I never brought any trouble to home, but, you know, the worry that I put them through, and then the shame and the guilt of what I was holding on to, you know, it really, you know, stopped those relationships from being able to, you know, sort of be how they were. You know, and, you know, I was completely, you know, I was completely down and out. You know, like I said, I didn't, at the time, I didn't think that I had anything to offer. You know, and, you know, when you get called a drug addict, you know, you're junkie, you're this, you're that, and all the rest of it. That's, you know, in my head, that's all I ever thought that I could be. Yeah, and then just one day, you know, I'd already had enough, you know, and yeah, this girl who I was, you know, just hanging out with at the time, she's like, you know, you need to pull your head in. I'm like, you know what, you're right. You know, so May the 5th, 2015 was the last time, or May the 4th was the last time I ever used, and I've been clean since May the 5th, 2015. And, you know, and in that time, you know, so many amazing things happened, and, you know, I just had to change the way that I see myself, and change the way that I see drugs, and, you know, yeah, and then being able to come out of that sort of hard addiction, yeah, I put myself into some study, only 1 month clean. Yeah, did a diploma of drug and alcohol and mental health, and went on a yoga and meditation retreat. And yeah, I wrote this program and walked around with a book, no license book, trying to get people to hear and what I had to say. And eventually, you know, one person, you know, was interested in, you know, not so much the program, but the passion. You know, and with the help of, you know, some, you know, a guy called Tom O'Connor, who was an ex-town councillor, he helped me sort of put things together, you know, in a little bit more formal way. And yeah, 2017, the program started, and yeah, fast forward 4 years, and yeah, things are going really, really well. We'll have some really, really good outcomes, you know, for the participants that use the program. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's all I wanted. That's what it was all about. So
yeah. Wow. And we'll jump into the Power New project in a second, but I just want to, I suppose, pause for a moment, and just really, you know, fascinated how, and it's so inspiring after that long of you know, a journey and around addiction, for you to just say, right, that's enough. I'm gonna change my life. And obviously, you had some wise counsel from that girl that you were talking about, and a bit of support from your parents. But I think just well done, Kane, on you know, trying to change the trajectory of your life, and obviously put what was a really, you know, difficult kind of life and lifestyle into something so positive. I think it's absolutely amazing, and credit to you.
Thanks, mate. And yeah, I wouldn't say it was a little bit of support from my family. It's just, yeah, that ongoing, unwavering support from my mum and dad. And, I think, yeah, I'll be forever grateful for that. And for people that don't have family, that are trying to get better, I want to be that to them, because I know that was, played a big part, someone that cared, played a big part in me being able to turn it around.
Yeah. Well, I acknowledge you for that. And yeah, so you turn that around, and then you put all this energy and all that lived experience into the Power in You project. So can you just tell me a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so I started the Power in You project. Just, some people just don't want to continue to go over their story, and we're different to NA, we're different to AA. I tell my guys, I don't care what you've done yesterday.
Yeah.
My focus is on how we can help you tomorrow. So, we really focus on trying to change an individual's story. So the recovery process, or how we sort of try to work it, is, we try to create hope and understanding. And then, for the participants to build some self-worth, which will eventually create themselves opportunity, and then for them to find their purpose. So we do that by, we run, many different groups, but, the stuff that we started with was our emotional fundamental sessions, and they focus on goal setting, stress and resilience, building healthy relationships, finding out who you are as a person. And, we just try to keep it really basic. Like I said, we don't want to continue to drag up old ground. We reference addiction at times, but our focus is on, solely tomorrow. But yeah, we counteract, the stuff that we do in the classroom with, PT sessions and, yoga and art therapy and, open gym, social days, all the stuff that, it's a holistic approach at recovery, because, yeah, sitting in a room, continuing to tell old war stories, it sort of doesn't really get you anywhere, and there's no point in trying to fix one thing, if you're not going to address and try to help with the other things as well. So, it's like you said earlier, it's open-ended. People can come for a little or as long as they like, and they just know that when they walk through the door, they're genuinely cared about, and yeah, we really try to foster that, having a laugh. Obviously there's times where, we're serious about things, but, when you're going through those challenges, you lose the ability to laugh, especially laugh at yourself. I know, especially in the ice world, you sort of have got to have this persona about you where you've got to be a gangster or a thug just to survive. And, a lot of people lose themselves when they are going through their challenges. So our focus is for them just to find out who they are again, have the ability to laugh at themselves and, that have that banter and just that normal connection, which isn't like, addiction based.
Yeah. And just going back to what you said earlier around, your experience and people calling you names and that stigma around it, you're a junkie or whatever, and, that becomes your identity. It sounds like within your program, there's no judgment there. It's all about support, and there's obviously a lot of compassion and, you try and help them and have a laugh along the way, we can be too serious sometimes. And you mentioned there around like yoga and the gym. How is your program linked to health and well-being then?
Yeah, well, it's all about health, well-being, I would say. We do our, like our cooking groups, where we try to foster the guys to have, more healthy, eating habits. Obviously the yoga and that, which, is about the breathing and the mental health and, really just slowing down and reconnecting with the earth. And then the PT sessions, which, releasing those natural endorphins and, and getting the heart pumping and all the rest of it. And then not only that, but seeing results as well, the guys like, for instance, I had one guy, and he lost like 20 kilos, and it's just like, I was telling him in the morning, mate, when you wake up, give yourself a wink in the mirror, It's just, when you start to see results, you start to feel good, and then, it boosts that confidence, which creates opportunity in other places. So, it all sort of, works together, I believe. And, once you've got the heart rate up, what I found on a Monday morning, we go for a walk and, once the heart rate's up a little bit and everyone's had a laugh and all the rest of it, when we come to do our sessions, everyone's really engaged, which is awesome. So no, it's all about, like I said, it's all about that holistic approach, and they all benefit each other. They all complement everything we do within the program. Really complements each other, and I think that's why we have some really, really good results.
Yeah, and I think with withdrawals and that would increase your stress levels and anxiety and depression and stuff. Exercise is such a great leveler, isn't it? And making you feel better, like you said, with those endorphins. And I know if I'm not feeling too good, I go for a run. I usually feel 100 times better. So it's no doubt the important part. It's an important part of your program, in terms of improving people's health and well-being. And just thinking about exercise, you were talking there. I mean, that can be a drug in itself, can it? There's so many addictions out there, whether it's gambling or social media or alcohol or or whatever. And exercise can be a bit of an addiction for some. So I suppose, yeah, it's balance, isn't it? I think.
100%. Yeah, balance and control. We really promote taking control of your life.
Yeah.
Because like when you're going through addiction, your life's out of control. So it's just taking back control of your life, and and finding a little bit of this and a little bit of that, just to to complement who you are as a person and what you're all about. Knowing that that's and then that having that balanced up, it's really, really important, and makes a hell of a difference. I'll definitely say that the outcomes that we've had have come from individuals finding that balance within their life.
Yeah, and obviously your programs targeting support for people with alcohol and drug abuse, and get integrating them back into society and supporting them. How do you think, Kane, we can ensure that we provide the most support to those most in need?
The hardest part, and the feedback that I've got, and I know for me when I was trying to get better, is just making the process easier to get the support. My program, the Power in You, we pride ourselves on, if somebody's built up the courage to ask for help that day, they get heard that day. Whether it's a phone appointment or whether they come into the service, or within no later than 24 hours, that person is seen, face to face.
Yeah, wow.
So I think it's really important to strike while the iron's hot. If someone's built up the courage to ask for help that day, they don't need to be put on a waiting list in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just what happens. We had a client, just recently, that was trying to get the support, and was put on a waiting list, and then unfortunately we lost him to suicide. So the importance of if someone's built up that courage, they need to be seen, not handballed, because you start to lose hope, and that's one thing that the Power in You project prides itself on, to make sure that we're available, when the people need us.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? When you talk about mental health, particularly for men, sometimes we find it hard to, put our hand up and say, I need a little bit of help. And, if somebody does show that courage to speak up, then we need to be ready to support them. So, that's great that you guys take that approach. And, thinking about chronic conditions, 1 in 2 Australians have got a chronic condition. If we could nudge the one part of the system to improve the well-being of Australians, what do you think that could be?
That's a tough one, because all the areas could probably be improved. But I think it's more not sort of tarring people like mental health with addiction with the same brush. That's probably the sort of thing that I'm really big about, is that this person might have an addiction issue, but why do they have an addiction issue? Why are they acting like that? Why are they feeling like that? Why is their mental health going backwards? Because for some people, you only know what you know. You only got the skills to be able to cope, and unfortunately, a lot of people just don't have those coping mechanisms. So they go to drugs and alcohol because it's a quick little band-aid to make them feel good. So my biggest thing is for me, and I think that's something that could make a difference, would be not tarring everybody with the same brush. Oh yeah, he's an addict. Yeah, we get that. But why is he an addict? Just start to look behind the story. Start to look behind, why he's or she's doing the things they're doing. Why are these behaviours so prevalent in their lives? Because if you stop and actually talk to, some of the guys, so some of my clients, I hear some of their stories, and it's heartbreaking, and unfortunately they've fallen into, these habits because they didn't know anything else. They've never been taught anything. So,
Yeah.
I think it's time to try to take the stigma, especially out of, addiction, and find out why they're doing what they're doing. Because that can really, sort of tarnish the, the mental health stuff, and people who actually have genuine mental health challenges aren't being seen because, they've blown a reading, or, they've tested positive for, whatever. So that's probably my one thing that I think that could be done a lot better, and needs to be like ASAP.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think education is a massive piece, and everyone, makes their own decisions, and but I think circumstances and life experience, and where you live, and all these things are contributors. It's never black and white. So I think people having a bit more compassion to try and help people with drug abuse and alcohol addiction. And I think it's about 6,000 people die from alcohol-related disease every year in Australia. So that's about 1 in every 90 minutes. So it's massively prevalent. It doesn't matter which walk of life you come from. I don't think, you can be a lawyer, or you can work in finance, somebody who, works in a factory. It doesn't really matter. Alcohol, it's legal. And there's real consequences to your health, if you abuse it. So it's a big problem, I think. Even as much as illicit drugs. Some people might think it's not as bad as those, but from my experience, with people within my family, or friends, it can be just as bad. So and I was doing a bit of research, Kane, and the World Health Organization says Australia is the 20th drunkest nation in the world. So it's a big part of culture, isn't it, alcohol?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's right. And some people, can have a drink on a weekend, and but some people can't. And it's alcohol is obviously a depressant. So, and there's so much stigma around it. Oh, you're a drunk, you're this, you're a closet junkie, or a closet alkie, or there's all this stigma around it. So a lot of people, they won't seek support for it. Just because they don't want to be branded. And unfortunately, we, like I said, it's a legal thing. We can get it from anywhere. But there's so much stigma around it that unfortunately, a lot of people will just suffer in silence, because they're too ashamed to be able to to put their hands up, and and acknowledge that they need the support, because they just how they'll be seen, I suppose.
Yeah, and in your program, because do you is it more people with drugs, or is it alcohol abuse, or is it a bit of both? Because I think it's around.
It's both, mate. It's both male and female. We deal with 18 and over. But I would say over the years, it's probably ice was the big one there for a long time. But recently it's more there's a lot more alcohol, and probably alcohol is probably a big one at the moment. But it sort of just goes in ebbs and flows, mate. And there's no one that's really massively bigger than the other. They all sort of just go in their waves of people look for support. But at the end of the day, it's the same principles. The same principles are around them. So we, I think we've got a really good way of being able to, to support people with drugs and alcohol. The same. Obviously, alcohol is a lot easier to go and get, but in saying that, we've had some really good outcomes with people, that have been, really bad alcoholics, as well as drugs as well.
Yeah. Because I think it's about 4 million that are dependent on drugs within Australia. So it's about 6% of the population. So that's it's quite a lot.
That's the ones we know about.
Sorry?
That's the ones we know about.
Right. Yeah, you're so true. So true. What was some of those success stories then, in terms of people that have come through your program?
Oh, well, I've got a bucket full, but I know there's a couple that don't want me telling their story. So I had one young girl who was a heroin addict from an early age. She had severe mental health challenges, and
right.
just of Wednesday, she's gone 1 year clean of heroin. She's about 5 years clean of ice. She's now working here as a peer. She's about to be a peer in our women's program that we're rolling out this year. You know, she said to me, Kane, if I didn't have this program, I'd be dead. We had another fella who's been in and out of jail, come to the program for 18 months. He's now got access to his kids, his daughter. He's back with his partner. He's working full time. You know, and he again said, if I didn't have this program, you know, he'd probably still be back in jail. And then another guy who we've got, and he was a long-term prisoner. You know, but in that time, in the last sort of, you know, 7 years of his time in prison, he decided that he wanted to be changed. And we're starting to pick up, you know, doing a lot more stuff with people exiting prison. There's an 80% overlap of drugs and alcohol and people going to prison. 25% of Victoria's population that are in prison are from 2% of the postcodes, and they're both in the Geelong area, you know, where I'm from. So, yeah, we've just put Dion on, and you know, and Dion's going to play a big part of being our, you know, being our mentor for the guys that are coming out of prison. You know, he's been single-handedly with, you know, all the courage and coming out of prison with absolutely nothing, and being able to achieve, you know, a full-time job in the last 2 years. And then, you know, working here of an afternoon, you know, to now coming on board with us working full time, you know, is an absolute, you know, credit to him as a person. But, you know, it just shows that, you know, with the Power in You project, we're not here to judge. You know, you know, it's not about us. You know, it's not about you. It's about us. You know, and you know, without having people with this lived experience, and you know, how do we create hope? You know, because a lot of people see, oh no, he can't get off it. He's never got off it. A lot of people don't see anybody getting better. You know, so we really pride ourselves on, you know, creating opportunity for people who have that lived experience, and because of that, you know, the outcomes, you know, like I said, I think we've got 35% of people that have ever come to the program remain clean. We've helped, I think, like 20 odd through study. You know, we've helped so many get access to their children. We've kept, you know, I think we've saved the government something like 20 million in the last 2.5 years by keeping people out of prison. You know, so you know, and getting, not only keeping them out of prison, but getting them back to work as well. So the outcomes, you know, and the there's just so many, and I love it. You know, I love that, you know, so many people have these awesome stories to tell, and you know, and being able to be a part of their journey and that kind of thing. You know, like, it's why I come to work every day. You know, I genuinely love my job. You know, I want to be able to help as many people as I possibly can, and you know, I understand that you know, that it does take time, you know, and everything's temporary and everyone can change. But that's what I really try to say. Like, my favorite saying is, your vibe attracts your tribe, you know, and you know, if you're vibrating on a good level, like, the right things will come up at the right time. Opportunities, people, you know, relationships, all these kinds of things. So, you know, like I said, you know, we just try to focus on getting their vibrations up, and you know, rebuilding that self-worth, and you know, then getting that opportunity for them to be able to create meaningful lives for themselves.
Yeah, wow. I mean, so inspiring, Kane. And you're right. It's the social outcomes, economic outcomes. You know, the benefits are just huge. And as you know, I'm obviously coming at it from a leisure, wellness, health, you know, perspective with the work that I do. And I see, you know, leisure centres and aquatic centres out there, you know, obviously open their doors to the public and stuff. You know, what's your thinking around facilities like that, you know, council owned, you know, or operated by providers, having, you know, more programs around to support people, you know, with drug and alcohol abuse? Do you think, you know, there's opportunity?
Yeah, well, you know, and this is just something that, you know, that I've been thinking of about. You know, the Power in You wants to have its own all abilities gym, or you know, all inclusive gym, because you know, there's a lot of anxiety, you know, walking into a gym. You know, we see guys who are, you know, quite buff in their singlets and tats and all the rest of it, and you know, and it's nothing against them, but for people who are going through their challenges, you know, and their self-worth and feeling really vulnerable, it can be really daunting for them. You know, there's this, but you know, I feel that there's a place for everyone, you know, in a gym, you know, but yeah, again, it comes down to, you know, making that person feel comfortable when they get there. You know, like I said, it's having access to gyms and pools and all the rest of it, you know, is priceless, because yeah, again, it's, you know, releasing those natural endorphins, and it's making, you know, it's giving people an outlet. You know, and I think that's, you know, what's important, finding outlets, you know, whenever it comes through, but, you know, coming through, you know, sport and leisure, and, you know, and then again, you know, with creating, you know, new friendship circles, you know, through, you know, netball teams or football teams, mixed, you know, mixed sports, that kind of stuff. I think it's all really, really important. But again, it comes back to trying to take a little bit of, you know, stigma out of that as well. You know, and really trying, you know, to get the community as a whole to understand that, you know, this person, you know, looks and dresses and does the things they do because they've never had somebody to wrap their arms around them, you know. So yeah, it comes back to a community thing, I believe, that, you know, we need to put our arms around people, you know, rather than keeping them to the outer, because, you know, they say it takes 4 hugs a day to, you know, to make somebody feel, you know, wanted or loved, or, you know, gives them the, you know, the courage. Yeah. So, you know, to keep them away from, you know, not feeling isolated or lonely. So, you know, I'm a hugger. I'll give plenty of hugs daily. You know, I think it's important. You know, it comes back to that again. It comes back to that connection. You know, so through community, you know, we really need to continue to create connection. You know, and through sport, you know, and then obviously, yeah, like I said, the sport and leisure that goes with it. And, you know, when you're pumping a few weights and being able to give yourself a wink in the mirror, mate, you know, that's priceless. You know, that means, you know, that you've got that little bit of pizzazz back, that little bit of sparkle back.
yeah, that's it. Now, I love that, and I've never heard of that one before with the hugs, so I'm definitely gonna take that one and see how I go with that. Listen, Kane, I've loved our chat. There's certainly some wonderful work that you're doing, and it's like I said, very, very inspiring. And I think, you know, your organization is going to go from strength to strength over the next few years. And I think becoming the strongest in Victoria. I think watch out Australia, because, you know, I think your approach is very different to what's out there, and much needed in the term.
And we do have the ability to grow as well. We've got the ability to go. We've got the systems in place. You know, it's, you know, like I said, but we want to just get it right here in Geelong, and then, you know, once we've perfected it down here, you know, yeah, like I said, it can be rolled out anywhere, and, you know, and the outcomes, you know, speak for themselves. So I'm really look forward to what the future brings for the program. You know, and I look forward to continuing to, you know, help my community, you know, to be, you know, the best people they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So get it right in your own backyard, and then see where it takes you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you want to add or ask any questions of me?
Oh, look, you know, if anybody wants to, you know more about the program, our website is www.thepowerinuproject.org.au. It's got all of our, you know, details up there. I'm just really grateful for you having me, mate. You know, it's any opportunity to you know, to reach different kinds of audiences. You know, I'm really grateful for the work that you're doing as well. You know, creating that, you know, inclusive, you know, sport in the sport recreation area. I think it's awesome stuff. So, you know, I always believe, you know, we can get better together. You know, so having collaborations and you know, and these conversations, you know, to open up further conversations, I think is really important. So, you know, yeah, I'm really grateful for the work you're doing, mate, and putting this out there. And you're a legend, mate. So I really appreciate you.
Okay, thanks for that, mate. Well, I'll leave it there and hopefully get down to Victoria and give you a hug soon. But yeah, all the best.
It's open.
All the best for the rest of the year, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Take care, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kane.